Hey Saints, happy Thanksgiving. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jaden.
With Thanksgiving just around the corner, I'm sure your stomachs are just growling for all the traditions your family cooks up. So, for a little taste of what's to come, here's Nicole Baxter and Taylor Galbraith with some of your favorites.
I'm Nicole Baxter and I'm here with Bax teacher Miss Simmons. So Miss Simmons, a lot of people will be cooking Thanksgiving meals over the holiday break, and a lot of people make mistakes. So what are some ways that you can reduce the mistakes you make?
Probably the biggest mistake people would make is with their turkey. Thawing the turkey needs to be done in the refrigerator or with ice water, and you keep changing the ice because it can't be at room temperature. And another one is not cooking it to the proper temperature. It has to be cooked to 165 degrees. And some experts say not to even stuff your bird because it's hard to cook it to the right temperature. You want to make sure the stuffing's done. Otherwise, you could get a foodborne illness. That's the reason you want to be careful about those kinds of things.
And what is the proper way to handle some leftovers?
2 hours is the danger zone. No food should be left out longer than 2 hours at room temperature. And so foods need to be stored in shallow containers in a refrigerator, preferably right after you're done eating, so you shouldn't leave it sit out.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Nicole and Taylor.
Speaking of food, Derek Schumacher has a little something for us about our seasonal menus.
Hi St. Francis, I'm with Amanda and we're talking about the seasonal specials. What do you have right now?
Well, right now, we have a sea salt caramel latte, a pumpkin spice latte, and a mint mocha that have already come out.
Hi, St. Francis. I'm at Carolina with Krista and we're talking about seasonal specials. What do you have?
We have the spicy mocha, the hoho mocha, and the fala latte.
And then when do they start?
They started in the beginning of November and go until after Christmas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This past week, we had an art show displaying students' artwork. Here's Brendan Bockwitz with an interview.
On Monday, there was an art show in the IMC. Students from all art classes submitted pieces into the show. We caught up with a few of the participants.
Why did you choose to do the piece you did?
I chose to do a nativity scene because someone from my church recommended if I should do it whenever I had time because it would be extra special.
How did you feel when you found out that you won?
Proud. I'd never won anything from the art shows before.
How much time did you put into it?
Almost the whole trimester. I just forming them and then glazing them.
How many years have you done the art show?
All since freshman year up to senior year.
And this is your first time winning?
Yes.
What pieces did the both of you do?
I did my op art and I did my impasto painting.
And what are those?
Impasto is when you can use gels and beads to make it 3D and then you paint over the top of them. And op art's just like creating an illusion.
So how did you both feel when you found out that you won?
I was really surprised. I didn't think I'd ever win anything for art.
How many years have you done the art show?
This is my second time in the art show. I did it for ceramics last year. This is my third. I've done it for drawing and ceramics.
What did you do for the art show?
I made a sculpture of a panda.
How did you feel when you found out that you won?
I was kind of happy knowing that a lot of people liked it.
Thanks, Brendan.
Also this week, Mr. Forbort's first, second, and third hour classes had mock interviews to prepare themselves for interviewing for a career. We had many different business owners come in to do the interviewing, ranging from lawyers to fitness trainers. Since it's a good time to look back, remember, and give thanks, Jolie Olson and Sarah Albachen wants to say thanks to the German exchange students and talk more about their experiences with them. Here they are with a message.
For 3 weeks in the fall, St. Francis High School students hosted German students from Berlin, earning lifelong friends and making memories. Sophomore Hannah Beckman remembers the time she had with the German exchange students.
I hosted a girl, her name was Neela. I like that you get a chance to interact with other people, your peers in your school, and we all do group activities together.
The 2013 Berlin Exchange is the first year new German teacher Kim Jones has worked on the project.
We had a lot of good connections between the German students and students here at St. Francis. And also I think we got a lot of people interested among my students of going over to Germany then in, I think, maybe around 2015.
As the host families gathered at the airport to say their goodbyes, some of the German students shared some of their thoughts with us.
There are many of them. The Mall of America was great. To see downtown Minneapolis was great. And just to meet so nice people here in St. Francis.
The Beckman family didn't see this as a 3-week exchange. They saw it as an opportunity to create lifelong friendships.
The best part of it all is that we just have now created lifelong friendships that will always continue to grow, change, and look a little bit different as time goes by. But just can't help but grow stronger as the years go by.
I wish that they could have stayed longer, to be completely honest, because at the end of 3 weeks, you just start to gain like a true attachment. It's just really hard saying goodbye.
Thanks, Jolie and Sarah.
In other news, the History Department is planning a trip to Washington, D.C. for next school year. Here's Jessica Rothy with Chairman of the Department, Kelly Lipinski.
Hi, I'm here with Mr. Lipinski, and I heard you have an announcement to make.
Yeah, Mr. Hackbarth and myself are going to be planning a trip next year over spring break in which we're going to take a group of students to Washington, D.C. We're going to be using the Close-Up Foundation to help organize the trip. It is a week-long trip, and we're looking at, like I said, going over spring break. So it would be for this year's sophomores and juniors, and there might have to be some fundraising that we do, but we're going to have a general interest meeting on December 12th to gauge student interest and to see how many people would actually like to go on the trip. It is an immersion trip. It's all-inclusive. All of the meals are covered. You'd stay in a hotel with other students from across the nation. You would also be visiting all of the sites in Washington, D.C. You'd get exclusive access to a lot of the monuments that typically the public do not get. And so I think it's a great opportunity. So if you're interested, you can meet us, Mr. Hackbarth and myself, in room 218 on December 12th.
Thanks, Jessica.
On Saturday, November 23rd from 3 to 5 p.m. at the high school, everyone in the community is welcome to join the Four Wind Dancers and the Venture Crew 276 for their traditional Native American Thanksgiving feast.
And don't forget, Saints, finals are next week, so study hard over the weekend.
Well, that's all we have for you this week. Stay tuned for weather, sports, and the random question thing.
Thanks, and have a stuffing and pumpkin pie filled turkey day.
Hey Saints, this weekend we can be thankful for the nice weather. Today we're starting off with a high of 32 and a low of 8. We've got some times of clouds and times of sun. Tomorrow on Saturday, we're looking at a high of 17 and a low of 6, so it's getting a little bit chillier. It's also going to be partly cloudy. Moving on to Sunday, we've got a high of 26 and a low of 21. It's going to be pretty cloudy, but this whole weekend we can't really be expecting much precipitation. That's all we've got for the forecast this weekend. See you next week, Saints.
It's the Random Questioning Day!
What is your favorite Thanksgiving food?
My favorite Thanksgiving food has to be the desserts, and if I had to pick desserts, I would say it'd have to be pie. My wife makes some great pies, so I don't care if it's cherry, apple, pumpkin, chocolate, I love them all.
My favorite Thanksgiving food is turkey.
My favorite Thanksgiving food is cranberries.
Old-fashioned russet potatoes. I like turkey.
My favorite Thanksgiving food is oyster casserole.
Potatoes!
Pumpkin pie.
Before we get to sports, we'd like to share the results of the food drive. Over 1,200 items were donated, with Mr. Lipinski's class collecting the most donations. Thank you all for your participation. Now, let's head over to sports.
Happy end of the trimester, St. Francis.
Let's tumble right into some sports news.
Some of our mass media students caught up with the gymnastics team earlier this week. Junior Celine Ide has been voted captain with Natalie Wasche and Andy Frank.
Gymnastics season is just around the corner. This year, there is quite a few new girls joining the team. The new head coach is Chelsea Lindemann, and assistant coach is Michelle Keenan, who was previously head coach for 6 years before taking a year off last year. The captains are sophomores Andy Frank and Natalie Wasche. I caught up with Natalie to see what she has to say about the upcoming season.
I think our team is closer than it's been in previous years, so I'd say we're working together. Seeing what our team can accomplish together and like setting individual goals is probably what I'm most excited to see our team do together. I think one of our strengths will be like supporting each other and being like a really close team, and probably, I don't know if we'll have any weaknesses.
Wasche has been in gymnastics for 12 years and said that her most memorable moment was going to state freshman year.
The first week of tryouts have been going good. They're tiring and long, and I'm really sore. I've decided to try out for the high school team because I wanted to try something new instead of club gymnastics.
Assistant Coach Keenan was a Division III National Bar champion when she was in gymnastics, and now she enjoys coaching.
Really like working with the girls and seeing them learn new skills. I love the sport of gymnastics. I've been in it since I was 4. I've been part of it, so I really like to just see that growth from beginning of the season to end of the season. During tryouts, we're looking for not only skill but also work ethic, your ability to respond to coaches in a positive way. Ideally, I wish we could be in the high school for meets and for practice, but realistically, we just don't have the space. It's nice that we can at least be in the middle school and have practice there and have meets. Hope that the girls work really hard and that they achieve some of their skill goals and their team goals, whatever those might be. We're in a new conference this year, so it's really hard to say where we'll end up in the conference, but that they keep working hard and they don't quit anytime during the season.
Mass media students also talked with Jake Johnson about recently signing to play basketball for Northern State University.
Before committing to Northern State University of South Dakota to play basketball, senior Jake Johnson spent a lot of his time talking and texting to college coaches about potential scholarships. To get where he is today was no easy task. It took a lot of hard work to overcome many obstacles in his way.
When I was in middle school, I started in 6th grade, and to be honest, I was not very good. I was one of the worst kids on the 6th grade team. I was always the tallest, but I didn't quite know how to use my length very well. I wasn't very coordinated. In 7th grade, I was one of the better kids on the B team. And then 8th grade, actually, 2 of the kids on the 8th grade team got moved up to 9th grade, so there's no spot for me. And I was probably the worst kid on the 8th grade team. But I was on the A team, so I was moving up a little bit, and then I slowly progressed into high school.
Starting later than most, 6th grade, he improved throughout his 3 years in middle school. Johnson went from barely making the lower B team to barely making the higher A team, with much improvement to come. He wouldn't be a good player if he didn't put in the hours by himself, said Johnson's current coach, Ryan Hauge, and that's exactly what he did, and players seemed to notice.
I think he's a great motivator on and off the court, and he motivates us to win.
During the recruiting process, when I was traveling through tournaments, I went to Philadelphia, Chicago, I kind of went all over Milwaukee. It gets a little overwhelming. You're finally get back to your hotel after your games, you're really tired, you just want to take a nap. But then you got to keep talking to coaches, they're calling you, texting you, but in a way you think it's cool because not a lot of people get that opportunity. So you have to just take it and realize that you're lucky to have that and be blessed to be able to do that kind of stuff.
Although all the phone calls, traveling, tournaments, and commitment to his sport got overwhelming, he enjoyed his journey from the bottom of the mountain to the top, along with all the memories with his teammates along the way.
This past Tuesday, girls hockey had a home game against Chisago Lakes, losing with a score of 5-2. Here's Jordan with an interview.
Hey, I'm with Natalie Wasche, a hockey player. How's practice been going? Practice is going really well. We started practice 3 weeks ago, and we had our first 2 games, and we won 1 and lost 1, so the season was good for us.
What's coming up in hockey?
We have a home game on Tuesday night at 7 at East Bethel Ice Arena against Chisago, and we also have another home game this weekend, Saturday, at home at 7.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
St. Francis varsity dance team placed third at their competition on Monday at Chisago Lakes.
Knowledgeable competed at Chaska High School last Friday. JV teams placed 2nd and 5th, and 1 varsity team placed 6th.
Finally, for people wanting to train in the winter months, the activities department is now offering a new weight training class.
The St. Francis football team finished their past season with an unsatisfying 4-5 record.
They'll be losing a lot of key seniors this season. The big question is, what will the underclassmen do to perform at a high level next year?
Advice I would give returning players would be watch film, get in the weight room, and make plays.
Athletes can sign up for weight training sessions in summer, fall, winter, and spring. Football players tend to weight train during their off seasons unless they participate in multiple sports. In addition, other athletes will have a way to train in a new class.
In the past at St. Francis, we've offered a winter weight training program that focuses specifically on body mass, but it was more geared for like football players or athletes who wanted to gain a lot of muscle. After talking with a few of the weight training leaders or mostly the football coaches, we realized that we needed to develop a program that was developed for other athletes who wanted to tone versus bulk up. So this would be geared more for track athletes or baseball players, and that's the class that I'll be teaching.
Weight training is an activity, so students can sign up by getting a form and turning it back into the athletic office.
That's all we have for you this week. We'll see you next trimester, Saints.